Hello, good morning. I'm Dave Rosa, and I'm with Flat Fee Tax Relief. We are a coast-to-coast tax relief company offering financially struggling taxpayers affordable IRS help. Okay, so today's discussion, we're going to talk about COVID-19 and how it affects taxpayers. For the past year, there's been a lot of lockdowns. A lot of people out of work, a lot of businesses closed down, some unfortunately permanently. So how does this all affect you? Well, the IRS, we feel, and it's our, I don't know, educated opinion if you want to discuss that, is going to be overwhelmed with taxpayers with tax debt. Now, this is going to be people who have had tax debt over the previous years that have carried over, and there's going to be new taxpayers with tax debt. Now, how will that affect both the IRS and you? Well, the IRS every year has more than they can handle, quite frankly. That's why they send out those automatic notices. Computer, which is the ACS, Automated Collection System, they send out scheduled letters that go out. By the way, there's no requirement that the IRS has to make sure that you receive those letters. So if you get a notice of intent to levy, notice to levy, federal tax lien, any of those, you didn't receive it, not their problem. So let's move forward. Okay, so COVID has created a situation where people are out of work. There were defaults on maybe installment agreements that they've had with the IRS, haven't been able to enter into an installment agreement, maybe haven't filed their past tax returns. A myriad of different things that happen to everyday people. As a side note, if you have an IRS problem, it's not good, but don't beat yourself up over it. Every year, 20 million people have an IRS problem. So you're not alone, okay? So we'll set that aside. So we think that the IRS is going to be simply overwhelmed with tax debt to collect. Now, the IRS has two things that they like to do. One is collect money, and the other is to close a file. Okay? So when they close a file, it can be for a myriad of reasons. You enter into an installment agreement, case filed. You become currently not collectible, case filed, case closed, okay? So different things can close a file. Now, back to collecting money. The IRS is gauged by how many collections they've collected, okay? And whether they collect $100 on an offer and compromise settlement or $1 million on a rich fat cat that didn't pay their taxes, it's a collection. And that's what they go by, percentages of collections and case closed, okay? So we're going to get into some of the things. Now, the Biden administration has proposed giving the IRS $80 billion over a 10-year period to increase collections. So when they tell you, or any politician, I'm not going to pick on them, but any politician says, we're only going after the rich and blah, 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 baloney, okay? That's not true. So they want to increase their capacity to collect and process tax returns and do audits and all of the other things that they do with the extra money. Now, it hasn't gone through yet, but they proposed it, and the way Congress is lined up right at the moment, probably will pass. How will that affect you? Well, those automated collection notices will increase, plus levies, which the computer can handle. It matches your W-2, your 1099, with your, taxes owed, your non-filing, so on and so on. Boom, they match, they levy. Okay, so that's how that works. But there's a good side to this COVID thing. Because the IRS is going to have many more debtors on their hands, we feel that this is an opportune time to settle your tax debt. Now, the IRS has 2 years, once an offer in compromise is submitted, to settle or to come to a conclusion. Either it's accepted or it's rejected. Now, let me get back to an offer in compromise. An offer in compromise is a settlement. You need to owe $10,000 or more. You need to have your previous 6 tax returns filed to be what's called eligible. You need to be qualified. What does that mean? You owe $10,000 or more. Okay? There's some other little things, but those are the 2 main. You got to file your 6 years. Okay, so you are compliant, and you need to owe $10,000 or more. If you owe $10,000 or less, you can look into being placed into currently non-collectible status. If you owe $10,000 or more, you're placed into currently not collectible status. I would seriously take a look at an offer in compromise. A lot of it is the same rules. A lot of it is the same eligibility requirements. If the IRS is already telling you you can't pay the bill, hey, go the route of the offer in compromise. Be done with it, okay? And then get your life together. Okay, so back to the COVID. Now, the IRS usually, approximately, approves about 42% of the offer in compromise submissions year in and year out. Okay, now what does that mean? It means that not everybody gets accepted, right? No big profound revelations with that statement, but that's what it means. Now, why do they reject them? Well, it's a couple of reasons. One is the taxpayer decided to do their own offer in compromise. Just like the IRS encourages you to do your own tax returns, it probably isn't a good idea if you've got deductions like real estate or leasing cars and you got a business or you got deductions, okay? Not standard ones, but, stuff you have to do, okay? Probably better to get a experienced tax preparer, better yet, get a CPA. But having said that, the number one reason why they get rejected is because someone decided to do it themselves. Okay? It's not a good idea. The reason is because there's a lot of complicated forms. And the IRS, the first part of the process is your submission is sent to one of 2 locations. One is in Tennessee, and one is in Long Island, New York. Of the whole country, there's only 2 places that handle the incoming submissions. Now, what is their job there? Their job at those 2 locations is not to see if you have a valid settlement offer. It's to see if you did your paperwork correctly. Okay? They're looking for an I not dotted. They're looking for a T not crossed, a box not filled in. And if they find one thing wrong, they reject it. That's what happens. And when they reject it, they simply mail it back to the taxpayer as a rejection, and they will not tell you what the problem was. So it's not like you can quickly correct it and mail it back in. It doesn't happen that way. They don't tell you what the problem is. And then you have to start all over, except for one thing. The IRS knows where you do your banking. They know where you work. They know everything. They can levy you, okay? Because you're now back into the collection bin, all right? So you're at a disadvantage. It's better to have an experienced tax professional who has done many offering compromises to do the job. Yeah, you got to pay a little money. On our end, flat fee tax relief, we charge one flat fee. We've been charging the same flat fee since we started doing business more than a decade ago. And before that, we had another company, and we did it there too. Okay? The company, we split from our partners. We didn't like them. So, but it's the same philosophy. One flat fee. The amount of work hasn't changed. It's the same thing. Why should we charge you more to do the same thing that we did a decade ago? It's the same amount of work. It's the amount of labor hours involved. We know how long it's going to take. Therefore, we charge one flat fee. Okay? It's $2,050 if you want to know. We charge $250 as the initial fee, and then we have 10 payments of $180 a month. We think that that's pretty reasonable. Okay, you're going to save yourself a lot of money. So that's ours. Usually it's other places, it's anywhere from $3,500 up to $6,000, $7,000, $8,000. It's too much to pay, quite frankly. They're just gouging you. Okay, so back to what we were talking about. The IRS is going to be, and if they're not already, overwhelmed with tax debt to collect. That's why you can see online that they're looking for people to come to work for them, sometimes in the offer and compromise section. But they're looking for people, they need them, and they're understaffed. Okay? So we think that this is an opportunity to take advantage of their lack of people to throw at a problem. Okay? The system can be flooded, and they're going to have to do something about it. Now, let me explain to you. Now, I already explained to you the initial part of an offer and compromise. Okay? Now, the process of looking at your paperwork takes about 5 months, believe it or not. Let's face it, the bureaucrats, they don't work very fast. They work at their own pace. It takes about 5 months. Once your offer gets past the initial processing, then it goes to what's called a offer and compromise examiner. It's usually a lady, and they all work from home. And they can have a pile of files on their desk. And once again, they can work as fast or as slow as they want. So it's an individual thing. You may get somebody who's quick, you may get somebody who's slow, who knows? Okay? But we always tell people it takes about 10 to 12 months to go from A to Z, from the beginning of our process to the end. It's about 10 to 12 months. May happen sooner. It could possibly. But to be conservative, we say 10 to 12 months. Rather be right and overperform than be wrong and get someone who's upset, disillusioned, or saying, hey, I thought this was going to take 6 months. 10 to 12 months. Okay? Now, during our consultations, we offer a free consultation. During a free consultation, I usually do almost all of them myself. We usually go through a process. I shouldn't say we always do. We go through a process and we get into the nitty-gritty. How much do you make per month? Do you have any assets? Cash in the bank? Property? Equity in the property? What do you own? Is what we want to know. Okay, we want to know your asset value. Okay, then we look at your liabilities. The IRS has what's called allowable expenses. That's your home, rent or mortgage, utilities, food and clothing for you. If you're married, you have children, all of that combined. Then they have a car allowance. That's an amount up to a certain amount. So you can't have a Maserati, but you can have a pretty good car. You're looking at, I'm going to approximate about $500 per month for a car payment. If you're married, you can get 2 car payments. Plus you have a car allowance for the upkeep of the car. Okay? So you take that out of what you make. Your utilities. Health insurance, if it's term. Life insurance, I should say. If it's term. Your health insurance, that's an allowable deduction. Okay? Tools. Things like that. You'd be surprised at what you're allowed to have. Then we can figure out about how much you're going to have to pay them total for the settlement. We've settled a lot of people for about $100, $500. And by the way, that $500, we've put people on $50 a month payment plans, believe it or not. Okay, people on Social Security, that kind of thing, put them on a payment plan for 10 months, their bill is settled. So we, okay, got to gather my thoughts because this is very informal. I didn't write down notes. So I'm going, using my experience and my history to convey all of this information to you at this time. So we feel that when you come to us and you ask for a consultation, we can tell you, not 100%, but pretty close to it, whether your offer and compromise is going to fly or not. Now, here's another caveat. The IRS does not allow any tax relief firm or tax attorney or CPA or enrolled agent to guarantee a result. Okay, you can't do it. They'll yank your license away. That's kind of dumb, all right? So there's no guarantees. Can't do it. If you call me up, you may be the IRS wondering about how we do our process and so on. We follow the rules, okay? We don't accept everyone. Most people qualify and are eligible, but there are times when we just say, you know something? We're not the right company for you, okay? And give them our best ideas on what they should do, and everybody moves along. Okay, so there's no guarantees. However, if you've done enough of these, you have a pretty good feeling, and with your experience and your knowledge of how this process works, you kind of know what's going to fly and what's going to crash. Okay? Okay, like anything else. Okay, you have whatever experience you have in life, common sense and your experience is usually the right way to go. Okay, so when we have somebody coming to us and we tell them that their offer and compromise is the right way to go, we have a 96% approval rate. Believe it or not, the national average is 42. Ours is 96. Okay, so we have a pretty good track record. We don't do them all. As I said, if we don't think you should do them, you shouldn't. Take our word for it. Or investigate further, call other people up. A lot of people will say, yeah, you should do it because we want your money. But I'm going to give it to you straight. If you shouldn't do it, you shouldn't do it. Sometimes people call up and they're right away, oh, how can I settle my bill? And I'll ask them, have you filed all of your tax returns? No. Did you get a tax bill? Yes. Well, you got an SFR, substitute for return. You want to know how to fix that? File your missing tax returns. The SFR, substitute for returns, is a mechanism the IRS uses to create a tax debt. Okay? So they create a tax debt. Without a tax debt, there's nothing to collect. So they create a tax debt. They give you no deductions. They have your income. Okay? And they create, out of thin air, a tax debt. All right. So then from there, they have the ability and the authority to file levies and liens. All right. So you can challenge the substitutes and replace them with a real, honest to goodness tax return that should get rid of all those failure to file tax penalties, which will at least cut your tax debt in half. And depending on your situation, you may not end up with any tax debt at all. Okay. Now I'm getting way beyond what we started to, but that's part of the process. Consultation, I'm going to ask you all of these questions. In that case, if you came to me and you had unfiled tax returns, they're going to have to be filed to do an offer in compromise. So we need to challenge them, reverse out those substitutes, replace them with good tax returns, and that may solve the problem on its own without going through the offer in compromise situation, okay, with the submission. All right. So there's always a caveat. All right. There are ways to go. You may not have to spend all that money on an offer in compromise that somebody's going to charge you $6,000 for, when the solution is maybe a $1,600 solution. Get those past tax debts, tax returns filed and completed. Okay. All right. So back to the other thing. All right. We feel that if you're eligible and qualified for an offer in compromise, there may never be a better time to submit one. Okay. Let the situation work for you. The IRS is going to be overwhelmed. There's no question about that. Okay. They're going to be overwhelmed with taxpayers who haven't filed or have lingering tax debt from years ago. Those are still out there. All right. And they're going to have new ones. They have only so many people. Eventually they'll get to you. All right. But the penalties and everything will be overwhelming. And maybe the computer system will find you and levy you. Okay. So we think that a lot of you people out there should do an offer. At the very minimum, be currently not collectible. That'll give you 12 to 24 months of the IRS off your back. The statute of limitations will be continuing to run out, and the IRS will have less time to collect the bill. And then at the end of that time, they'll ask you to resubmit a financial and maybe get placed on it again. Okay. And more time will run off the clock. They'll have less time to collect. All right. The IRS can pull it at any time, but if you lay low, now here's another thing. If you're currently not collectible, you file your new taxes, you owe them more money, they may pull it. All right. Then you need to look at an offer in compromise. Okay. You can't be habitual. The IRS doesn't like people who are habitual, people who do the same thing over and over and over again. Same thing with penalty abatements. That's a discussion for another day. All right. So now that I went off on some tangents, zing, zang, boom. Okay. I think I pretty much covered it for today. All right. COVID can be your friend as far as the IRS is concerned. The people at the IRS, some are good, some are bad. It's like the public. You know, you got good people, you got bad people, you got in different people. Okay. But they got to follow the rules. They have 2 years to get an offer completed. Otherwise, it's an automatic approval. Okay. They're going to be overwhelmed. Flood the system. Okay. Shove yours in there with all the rest of them. All right. Now's the time to do it. The approval time may be speeded up because they got to get these things out. As I said, they want to do two things: collect money and close a file. And sometimes closing a file is more important than collecting money. All right? A $100 settlement on a tax debt is a collection. Boom. It goes into the collection problem. Our percentages of collection goes up. All right? It's in their interest to accept it if it's a valid offer in compromise. If you're trying to BS them, then that's another story, and they're going to get PO'd about it, and they're going to take it out on you. All right? But if it's a legitimate offer in compromise, it's going to get approved, even if it's $100, $500, $1,000, whatever. Okay? It's going to be a big savings to you. You can get the IRS off your back once and for all, and then you can move on with your life. Okay? Now, back to the closing of the files. The IRS wants to be done with it. They want to close a file. If I close the file, I can move on to the next one. And there's always the next one, and the next one, and one after that. They have a basket full of tax debt to collect. There's no end of the day. Hey, Charlie, what do you know? I got all my files done. I'm done. Okay, I'm good for a week. No. All right? It's a never-ending battle for the IRS. Okay? Use it for your advantage. Okay? Get rid of the tax debt. Don't let it linger. Because one day you're going to go to work and you're going to have a tax levy and they're going to take your money. Okay? Or one day, all of a sudden getting an email, all of your automatic payments are getting rejected. Why? Because they did a bank levy and seized all your money. All right? Or your paycheck, if you have automatic deposit, all of a sudden it hits and bang, it's gone. All right? You don't want to be in that situation. You want it resolved. You want to be taken care of. Okay? If you want to, you can give us a call. I'm going to give you my number. It's 866-747-7435. Once again, that's 866-747-7435. And this is Flat Fee Tax Relief. We're located in Clearwater, Florida, and San Diego, California. We're a California corporation in good standing. Now, another thing. You may have tried to call the IRS. How's that working out for you? Right? Can't get through, can you? That's because they're not answering the phones. Why? Because they're overwhelmed. They can't deal with it all. Use it to your advantage. Now, we can get a hold of the IRS. Why? Because we have a practitioner's line. We're licensed to do business helping people with the IRS in all 50 states. And we have a practitioner's line. If you want to call it a hotline, it's a practitioner's service. We can get a hold of the IRS where you can't. All right? So if you get a notice of intent to levy, a notice to levy, any of these things, you're not going to get through to the IRS. We can. So give us a call. All right? There's no obligation. We don't have salesmen here. Okay? Nobody's going to try to turn you upside down and shake you out of your money and fleece you or anything like that. We don't have salesmen here, so nobody's going to call you back. Not because we don't want to help you, but we know how salesmen can be. They can bug you, try to wear you out and get your money out of you. All right? Hey, Charlie, Hey, go get your wallet, get your credit card out. Let's do this today, right? How many times have you heard that on the phone? Okay. I don't like it. So nobody here is going to do it to you. So therefore, you can call us up, give you about our best opinion, offer you the tax relief options available to you. And that's it. I can send you out a client agreement, a power of attorney for the IRS, so that we can represent you and talk to the IRS on your behalf. That's another thing I'm going to get into now. I just thought of it. Sometimes when you've called around, okay, let's just be frank about it. If you call us, I know you've called 2, 3, 4, 5 other companies, all right? Now your head is spinning. You don't know what's right, what's wrong, anything else. If anybody says, hey, for $500, we'll do an investigation with the IRS. Now, I'm going to say that again. Hey, for $500, we're going to do an investigation with the IRS and find out what your problems are. And you may say, well, $500, okay. I've got it on my Visa card. I'll give it to you. Or I got it on my debit card. Don't do it. You're a sucker if you do. I'm going to tell you why. That's called a compliance call. If you became our client, okay, for one thing, that $500 is nothing more than the company that you just called pays for their Facebook, Google ads, and gives a commission to the salesman that you talk to. Okay? That's where that $500 goes. It doesn't go into anything for you. That compliance call is a necessity when you file the power of attorney with the IRS, telling them that you're represented by counsel. Okay? It has to happen. There's no choice. You have to call them up. When we have them on the line, telling them that we represent you and we give them your social security number and so on, we're faxing them your power of attorney at the same time. Okay? And when we call them up on the phone, they'll tell us what all of your problems are. That's all part of the service. Don't pay an extra $500 for nothing. That's crazy. But they get away with it, and they've been doing it for years. And they found a way to get naive, gullible people to do it. All right? They say, okay, I'm going to fax you a power of attorney. We're going to call the IRS on your behalf, and we're going to find out all your problems. Okay? They're trying to get their foot in the door, get you committed, and then they're going to zap you for $3,500, $4,000, $4,500, $5,000, $6,000. Guaranteed. Okay? Guaranteed. Don't do it. Okay? When I talk to you, I can pretty much guess, an educated guess, as to what your problems are. When we call up the IRS, we'll find out everything. You may miss a tax year here that you haven't filed or something else. We'll find that out. But that's all part of the service. Don't pay an extra $500 for nothing. Okay? That's silly. Okay? That's you're being punked. Don't do it. Okay? Not a good idea. Okay? Save your money. You need it. You wouldn't be watching this video or calling up for IRS help if you didn't need that $500. Okay? Let's be honest about it. Okay? The reason why you're watching and you're calling and you're investigating the best way to go is because you don't have a lot of money to work with after you're paying your rent, your mortgage, your car payments, your health insurance, maybe medications. You don't have a lot of money left over. We know that. Okay? Don't be a sucker. Hang on to your money as long as you can. All right? That's why we stretch out payments over an 11-month period. Okay? We decided to do this more than a decade ago. It works very well for us, and it works well for our clients. And we don't charge interest or anything. It's a flat fee. Always has been, always will be. Okay? So I'm going to cut this short and say arrivederci or hasta luego, or just so long, goodbye until the next time. Okay? I hope you gathered some information out of this, and I hope you enjoyed the conversation. And if you need help, you need real IRS help, give me a call. Okay? It's free. There's no obligation. Give you the best advice we can. Oh, by the way, flat fee tax relief, we only use tax attorneys. And then if you do become our client, you have their direct number, right? Not through an assistant, not through the front desk. You get their phone number, okay? So you can call them directly at any time you want. I mean, if it's after hours or something, everybody has a life, but they'll call you back, leave a message, let them know what you need, or you just want an update, something, whatever it is. You have the direct number. That's how we do things. We use the 866-747-7435 number for people calling in. But then after that, once you become our client, then you have direct phone numbers. We don't give those out to just everybody, just the clients, okay? We're not giving it out to the general public. We'd be overwhelmed with BS calls, okay? Everybody and their brother would be calling us soliciting for, hey, do you want to buy leads? Do you want this? I can help you out with that. How about this software? How about that? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, we don't need that. Okay, I get enough of those on the 866 line. We don't need it on our personal phones. But our clients do get the direct line. Okay, so I'm going to call it a day. And I hope this has been helpful. And from Clearwater, Florida, have a great day. It's a nice sunny day, as you can see behind me. And you'll hear from me again. Okay? Have a good day.